Well, hello, JWStrugglers. I'm talking to you again and doing another interview via Skype with a man named Jesse. Now, Jesse has some interesting things to tell us, to share with us. We want to hear his story, and also, I think you'll be interested to know that Jesse's viewpoints are maybe a little bit different than some of ours. And I'm not going to put words in his mouth. He's going to explain his take on things because this guy has seen a lot and he's experienced a lot and his interactions with Jehovah's Witnesses. So, Jesse, first off, I'd like to thank you for Skyping with us today and sharing your story.
Thank you, Eric. I've seen your videos, and I can't believe you had the guts to take a camera into the Kingdom Hall. That was
Well, I
amazing.
appreciate that. It was not fun at the time, but I'm glad
No,
that I
saw your
did
pain.
it. Yeah,
I've
and
been through the same thing that you went through.
I was just going to say we're going to get to that. Now, Jesse, first off, I always like to ask, how did you come in contact with witnesses? What are the circumstances around that, and how you got baptized?
Well, I started studying with Jehovah's Witnesses back in 1999 in April, so about 15 years ago. And you know, the man asked me a question because he was giving me the watchtowers and awakes for about 6 months, and I kept avoiding him. And he finally said, in a authoritative way, when are you and I going to sit down and study the Bible?
Mm.
So I said, right now. And he showed me in my Bible, the King James Version, Psalm chapter 83, verse 18. And it said God's name in it, and I've never heard of that name. I thought it was just a building, like a Mormon. A Mormon is not a name of their God. It's just the name of the church. And I just thought Jehovah meant the name of the church, but it's the unique name of God. And I was hooked. And I believe everything they said after that, because if they showed me that truth, then I have to believe everything else.
Interesting. There's a lot more there, and I want you to continue. But one thing I've noticed, Jesse, you hit on a topic. The name Jehovah, it almost is like a magical lucky charm to them and to some people. They hear that word or they see it. They see it in the Bible, and then all of a sudden, like with you, it resonated and it had an impact. It had an impact on you, and so you believe that, and it was almost like a domino effect, right? You just said, okay, I'll just sign me up, I'll just believe everything else, or did you study for a long time?
Well, right away, I went to the Kingdom Hall a couple months after that, after starting studying, and I joined the Unbaptized Publishers, the ministry school, and before the year, 1999, I wanted to get baptized, but they told me, oh, it's a beautiful thing, getting baptized at the assemblies and everybody's happy. But I wanted to get baptized in somebody's pool right away, like that man in the Bible. What prevents me from, being baptized? I think he said that.
That's right, he did. He did. So you got baptized around 2000, and then I think we were emailing earlier. You said something about how you got used at one of the assemblies. You were interviewed or something. That was a big thrill for you.
Yes, I bought a suit, to go to San Diego, and they interviewed me about how I learned the truth, and it's all hyped up. If you're an auxiliary pioneer for that month that you're giving the part at the district, it all looks good, for the show.
Mm-hmm. And one thing too, people have talked about how when you get involved in a new group or a cult-like group, they love bomb you. They give you all this attention and affection, and they make you feel so good about, oh, look at Jesse. What a good example Jesse is. Look to Jesse. And that made you feel really good. And then how long did that honeymoon last? Things were going good in the Jehovah Witness truth with you for a while, and then what happened?
Well, my third year of baptism, I was trying my best to become a ministerial servant. I was reaching out, I was doing everything the elders, they were my role models. They were my idols.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to be just like them, and I wanted to be famous in the religion, with the ranks, and eventually become an elder. And when I didn't become a ministerial servant, they gave it to another man, and I just after that I just gave up because I didn't have any more in the tank. I thought if I become a ministerial servant, then everything's okay, but if I don't, then something's wrong.
You're not the first person. I'm sure you're not going to be the last person to feel that frustration. Jesse, why do you think that discouraged you or frustrated you? I mean, because there's no limit on how many guys they can make MS, right? I mean, so did you think you weren't good enough? Did you feel guilty, or what was it?
Um, well, when you enter the religion, you feel like everything's by the Holy Spirit. So I didn't become a ministerial servant, but they gave me encouragement and said, keep doing what I'm doing. I was the literature guy, the Watchtower and Awake. I was handling it, and that usually is a job for a ministerial servant. So I was doing everything they said. I was giving the number 4 talks at the time, the ones where you have to write up your own sermons.
Sure.
I was doing everything they said. I was going out in the ministry. I had no sex with women for 9 years.
So you're following the rules. You're being a good boy.
Yes.
You get
Yes.
discouraged. I'm assuming you stopped going to meetings for a while, and then what happened
Uh,
next? You had some problems with the elders, you said, and how did that happen?
well, I went AWOL for 3 years,
Ah,
and from about 2010 till 2013, I went back in 2013, and I had to teach myself the truth. No more, people telling me what to believe. I was really searching for what really, really is going on. And I was like, wait a minute, they lied to me. The very first thing, the very first day, when I told my Bible conductor, I said, God has blame in what's going on in the world. And he said, well, God did not know that Adam was going to sin. And me studying the Bible recently, I taught myself the truth. God knows everything, and that is a lie. The religion is based on a lie because he did know that Adam was going to sin. He did create him perfect, but Adam chose not to obey. And they say that Jehovah blocks he refuses to use his power of knowing the future when it came to the Adam, and I don't believe that.
mhm. Okay. Let me back up and just widen out a little bit here. So you're gone for a few years. You do a lot of research. I'm assuming you were studying, you were reading, you were looking things up. Is that so? Yeah.
Reading the King James version and watching your videos.
Ah, you bad boy. Okay,
Yes,
so
yes.
so you're watching videos from former members. You're realizing that Watchtower has done some things wrong. Maybe some of the leadership has lied, or there's some doctrines. Obviously, you're disagreeing with some doctrinal things here. As far as did God know, did he
Yes.
not know? So when you told the elders these things, did they readjust you in a spirit of mildness, or
No,
no, they
no,
didn't? They weren't mild, and they didn't pat you on the back and say it's okay, or what did they do?
no. They stay quiet. They're mutes. They don't
Okay.
open the Bible and correct me.
Okay. And then
What
how did
there's a special name. They say that it's a foreknowledge something or something, foreknowledge blocking or something. It has. I don't know if you're familiar with the teaching.
no, I'm not, but I guess the main thing I'm interested in is, so you have this, the elders go silent, and you said that you had met with them multiple times. What were you breaking the rules, or why were you meeting with them multiple times?
Well, since I went AWOL, I was having sex with women, and I confessed that to them. but not really because I wanted to, but because somebody snitched on me. And I had no choice but to say something.
Right. Well, that's been known to happen among witnesses. They love to watch your comings and goings and talk about everything. So you started to live a more normal or mainstream life. You get caught there, so they're counseling about you about this, and then that's when you started saying you disagreed with some of the teachings. So did they disfellowship you right then and there, or what did they do?
No, but I did basically beg them, to disfellowship me
Wow.
because I did not want to disown my God by disassociating myself.
Hmm. So you
But
literally said that, and then what did they say in return?
they said, "Well, we're going to talk to you again. We still feel like you know you could be helped." But no, I was already gone.
Okay. So ultimately, they did disfellowship you then?
No, I had like 5 meetings with them. I think in the third one, they asked me, "Do you want to be disfellowshipped?" And I said, "No," because they had already tried to convince me to stay, and I didn't want to make other members feel awkward if I was still attending the meetings. I still wanted to have friends. I still wanted to be able to have Bible discussions with people.
Right. But did you change your mind? Because a minute ago you said you did want to be disfellowshipped.
That's the very, very first meeting that I had with them,
I get it.
and they even asked me if I had a gun.
Or did you show up looking all gangster? Did you have big chains?
No, I told them that my worst thought that I would go in there with a machine gun and just kill everybody.
Oh, okay.
Because we all have thoughts. We have thoughts, but we don't act on them.
Of course not. Of course, who hasn't had some crazy idea run through their mind? So you go through all this. You
Yes.
meet with them all these times, and then ultimately they just said, you know, you're fine.
They said that I show repentance in my first disassociation letter. It still shows that I'm showing repentance
Hmm.
because I had like 3 disassociation letters, and they finally accepted the third one because they said that we don't accept your letter. I don't know if you ever heard that before.
I've heard of them saying that. It's usually their way of trying to. They think they can snatch you from the fire. See, everything's very dramatic among the witnesses. They think these elders. They think they're dealing with life and death, and it's in their hands. And poor Jesse's here, and his sins are there, and we have to snatch him from the fire. And it's almost the way that the Catholic Church, the way that you go and you confess to the priest, and then he absolves you of your sins. The elders are really acting, Jehovah Witness elders act in a similar way. They think that they can actually help you get forgiveness of your sins, and it's really very similar. So, Jesse, you
Well, I
said
think
to me,
it's
oh, go ahead, please continue.
it's a two-face environment because there's nothing's so perfect like that. It's everybody's pretending it. They're pretenders. you know, they live a life. They have evil inside of them, but they act like they're holy
Hmm.
in front of other witnesses. I don't know if you've done that. When you see a brother out there shopping in the grocery store, don't you change the way you act?
Yeah, you want to be on your good behavior. I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that. So, did you observe then the elders in other settings? You saw them do things that bothered you, or was it just strictly in those meetings?
Well, the guy that was taking the lead in the judicial, the elder that's in charge of the judicial committee.
Yeah.
Um, he called me up one day because I had left him a message and I said that let me talk to more people. People that because we had a big congregation. It recently has been separated in half, but before it was huge, over 100 publishers. and I just wanted to go to other cities and just say bye to them for the last time. They're gonna shun me. So I told them, let me just say, bye to the friends and let me associate a little bit more, and then I'll turn myself in. And then I'm just going to the Kingdom Hall. I didn't know it was a sin, and he said, we're gonna get in the car and we're gonna go over there. And it was nighttime. Basically, he was gonna come over here with the elders and disfellowship me or something, because they can't do anything else. I wish they would. I wish they had the power to, kill me or something, like they used to do with the Israelites. They used to stone people to death.
Well, I mean, gosh, we don't want to go. We don't want to go there right now, because the goal or the hope is, Jesse, that people can free their minds, and then you can be happy. Like that song, you can be happy, and you can not have to worry about answering to these men anymore. And I mean, isn't that a good thing?
Yes, you have more. Your mind is more. You could think outside the box. But in the Kingdom Hall, you actually have to salute these guys. They're egotistical. You have to um, acknowledge their authority. You almost have to like shake at them. And I think I have when some of them pass by me. I'm just like, wow. Does anybody else see this? Like, because I went AWOL for a while, but when I came back, I saw things that I didn't see before. I wasn't under the same Kool-Aid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good term to use. You weren't drinking the Kool-Aid anymore, so you were seeing things
No, no.
differently. Now,
I the
the last,
reality.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. The
I
last
have
thing
nothing to
that
say.
you had messaged me about was that you felt that Jehovah was still using the watchtower or the governing body or something, and that I've heard of that idea. There's certain internet groups that believe that. Could you explain to me what you mean and what your thought is on that?
Well, I feel like the evil slave. That's a real deal. That's real. But they're still good slaves. I think. I'm not sure, but it takes 2,000 years for 144,000 souls to be saved. I mean, there's something wrong there.
That's simple logic.
Yes, something's wrong there. 2,000 years to save 144,000 souls.
So
But
go ahead,
I know
please.
it's not spirit. It's not spirit. It's not like Isaiah's. These guys are not Isaiah's.
Hmm.
If Isaiah was here, we all know what he would be doing. He would be in the street corners preaching. These guys, they're just CEOs.
Hmm. Hmm. It's true. It's true. So do you have advice for people that are watching this video? I mean, what is your goal as far as telling your story? What would you like to say to people that hear your situation?
Well, everybody has different shoes to walk in, and I have no family members in the religion. I basically you have to stand up for your rights to believe what you want to believe, and if you believe they're teaching something that it's not true, you have the right to question it, and they're supposed to set you straight. They're supposed to read Bible verses to you, and they don't do that. Like, I called this one elder, and I was still in good standing, and he told me, "You're not on the same wavelength as I am, so I'm gonna hang up now." And I just talked to him for like a few minutes, and I asked him one Bible question, and he had to hang up. And he brags about that he was in the Michael Jackson Judicial Committee or something. Remember when he had charges of molesting children?
Hmm.
So
Wow.
these
So he
these guys,
didn't even he
they
didn't
didn't
even
look
want
for
to
me.
talk about your Bible question.
No, all I said was, did the sons of God, the Nephilim, because I call them the sons of God because they don't belong here, right? They came from heaven. And did they eat meat? And they were carnivores. because they taught me that before the flood nobody ate meat, and I'm like, the evildoers did eat meat. Maybe not the good people or whatever, Noah or whatever, but the evildoers, they did eat meat. They did not obey that rule about not eating the animals.
Yeah, you know what? That's in the new Noah movie with Russell Crowe. They actually cover that, so it must be true.
Yeah, I just saw that right now. I got the pirated issue from the internet.
Ah, okay, all right. It's an interesting
Yeah.
movie, and you know what I found out was the guy that Aronofsky, the director, he had a real passion for this story. He actually used the pseudepigraphal books, the apocryphal books, like the Book of Enoch. And the Book of Enoch actually calls these fallen angels, it calls them watchers. And it actually names the names of some of these fallen angels in the Book of Enoch, which some people think should have been included in the Bible. And that's where he got a lot of the things that he built into the Noah movie. So it's pretty
It
interesting
sounds like
idea.
that book at the Watchtower. Don't they have a book called Angels and Women?
That was one that they endorsed like 100 years ago, and it turned out to be spiritistic and all of that. That was an
Yeah.
oops. That was God's
They
Soul Channel made an oops.
yeah, it had the didn't it have the Watchtower stamp on it or something?
I believe they were
And the
selling it or they were endorsing it. I think they endorsed it was what happened, but then they found out later that it was it was about had to do with spirits and whatnot. So I mean, I'm assuming then, Jesse, you wouldn't encourage somebody to study with the witnesses the way you did, or what today?
actually, I would. I know Mark and his wife Cora. They tell people not to get anywhere near these people, but I still believe it's the truth. I still believe that. I mean, it's the dirty truth. It's a dysfunctional family, but I still believe that it, I can't find anywhere else. I mean, the world is big. There might be another group out there that I've never heard of that's teaching something that's truth, but I've never heard of it. I just wanted to say I believe there's moles in the organization. I believe that there's people working both sides. The table of demons and the table of Jehovah. They're trying to work both sides. The sins of the people will be later on will be found out, and there's people in good standing, and they're evil. Evil has penetrated the congregations, because when the elder told me Jesus is the head of the congregation, what I said in my mind was, not this congregation. I think your apostasy trials, it opened me up, because it's you said something about that there's brothers posting things on the internet. There's how does the flock of shepherd the flock book get on the internet? How does this and that happen? How does there's shady people everywhere in the world, bad apples. Myself, I don't think I could save anybody anymore like I used to. I used to think that I could change the world. I think the world is gonna, everybody's betraying each other, and the love of the greater number is gonna cool off. And many people are gonna say, "Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name? Did we not expel demons in your name?" And that's talking about the members. That's talking about Jesus' own followers. That they're not gonna be good enough. But I mean, they do teach truth. I mean, I wouldn't know these things about the Bible, about everything that they have. They have stories that are true, in the publications. I wouldn't know what I know today if it wasn't for what they taught me. In the beginning, they had teachings of demons, but they've really cleaned up that stuff. They even got out of the United Nations. They cleaned up. Oh, they're doing much better. They're cleaning up things, and um, like they never claim to be perfect, but at the same time, they never apologize for things that they do to people. That I don't understand all this shunning stuff. I didn't even know about all this stuff when I was studying the Bible. I didn't know that they shunned their own children and grandparents, and even if even people get divorced because somebody's left the organization. It's that bad. It's some serious cult-like activity that, you know. Oh, I told them that God could just take the force of life out of people. He doesn't have to be all violent. And they told me, well, we don't know how much of it is symbolic and how much is real. And I'm like, it's real, because the angers of the bowls of God, the trumpets, 7 trumpets or something like that, where they said that it was a conventions with the Rutherford guy. No, that didn't fulfill that prophecies. Those are just conventions. Yeah, they have some false teachings, but you know they'll clean it up later and say, oh, we made a mistake. You know, the light got brighter. Well, it does do good to some people. They stop doing drugs. They stop, you know, doing stuff that they're not supposed to. I mean, it is a good environment. If it works out for them, it's a good environment, but it didn't work out for me. I still talk to people about the Bible, but I've only not gone to the Kingdom Hall for 3 weeks now. So I'm just new to all this staying away from the Kingdom Hall. I don't know what's going to happen, but I have a bad habit of still talking about Jehovah and still saying his name.
We were talking about just the end of it. I asked you, are you going back to the meetings? And where have you reached those decisions and all that?
No, I don't think after making so many videos on YouTube, I don't think that it'll be wise to go back.
So do you feel like you're trying to be an activist, trying to help people to see what you've learned, to see your truth, or are you just doing other things?
I feel like people deserve to know the truth,
Mm-hmm.
you know, about the religion.
Okay.
You call it the truth about the truth.
All right.
People, if supposedly they're going to lose their lives in Armageddon, they have the right to know the truth about everything, not censored.
And so you have a YouTube channel.
Yes.
Okay. Well, tell us what your YouTube channel is, and maybe people will hopefully check it out.
It's not for children. It's called Jehovah Shalom 144. That's the username.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Jehovah
Yeah.
Shalom 144. So they should be able to type that in, and it'll pop right up.
Yes. www.youtube.com/user/Jehovah Shalom 144.
Right. Okay. Okay. Well, Jesse, is there anything you'd like to say before we end? Or, I mean, do you feel good about sharing some of this with us? Or did you have more that you wanted to mention but we forgot?
I think that should be good enough, because I'm saying I'm still indoctrinated.
Wow. You know what? That
I'm
takes a lot of
yeah,
courage for you to say that, Jesse,
yeah,
that you still have some of that indoctrination. I call it the Watchtower cobwebs. You got to sweep out of your
yeah.
mind.
Like I was telling you that Jesus is not my mediator, and that's a Watchtower teaching.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's just one of many examples you could list, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I don't think people want to hear that, and I respect that. And I think I should end the conversation before I say something that offends people. You know.
Okay. All right. Jesse, I appreciate you doing this. I know it's not easy for you to talk about this stuff. I can totally relate to that. I know there's a lot of viewers that can really relate to your story, that can say, I know what Jesse is going through because I went through it, or I'm going through it, and that's a really good thing. So thanks again.
Thank you, Eric. It means a lot to me, this video.
Oh, you're welcome.
The order is rapidly fading, for the times they are a changing.